so everybody can hear this part of it. The first skill, buenos dias a todos. Okay, because we're jumping in here today. If you're watching later, there's the listening skill. So components of language learning. This is what started off before the recording flipped on. Why do some people feel more comfortable with one thing than another? Oh, they don't know anything, but they do. It's just coming out as it's manifesting through a different skill. So, you have your listening skills, your reading, your writing, your speaking. And really the speaking comes last. The ability to speak comes last, dead last.
Me too, Cindy. And it's like your niece.
It is. The speaking skill is not the guy who charges across the finish line and breaks the tape. It is not that. The listening skills are always what comes first. And as a child, that is what happens first. In our native language that we learn as our first mother tongue, they say, listening is what always comes first. Your baby understands what you say to him or her, and they you're kind of puzzling as they are an infant as to how much they get.
But as soon as you take her someplace with a family, like a Spanish speaking family, right there, and nobody speak English to her, she will just get it, and she will just take off like that. I believe that she will do it quickly.
It's a click.
Because it's like pressure, and you like it or not, you got to do it. Something like that. So maybe somebody has to throw me someplace in a Spain, like Spanish speaking country, and then probably I will start, speaking.
There you go. There is the issue of it clicks. Yeah. So, okay. What are we going to do today? ¿Qué vamos a hacer hoy? Today, we're going to take some of your sentence creations. We'll do that in a little while. We're going to have our trivia game, which I think I forgot to originally send the link for that. ¿Qué pasó? Bui. Wow. Why did I do that? I don't know. But even if you didn't get the second link for the trivia game, don't worry about it. It'll be something we can use again to speak. We're going to practice a little bit with the practicing the ways to talk about those chunks of words mayor versus más grande. And this will be an off the cuff, but visual response. And I'm going to have we're going to do one exercise of that together, and then I'll send you off into smaller groups to continue and do it on a smaller scale. But we're going to start. Vamos a empezar. And I'll take any of your questions in between. You know how that goes. We're kind of free floating here. Vamos a empezar con un video útil. This is useful because you will hear people use these phrases quite a lot. And it is what to say. Different ways to say that you don't know. ¿Cómo se dice? I don't know.
Yo no sé.
No lo sé.
No sé.
Yeah, okay. Sé. S-E con acento, con diéresis S-E with an accent mark, right? No sé, right? No sé is a weird form of saber. Saber is the knowledge to know verb versus the human being knowing verb. And, right, so sé doesn't look like a yo form, doesn't sound like a yo form, doesn't look like it should come from saber, but that is the yo form sé. And no sé, of course, will be I don't know. But there are different ways that people say, I don't know. They may respond in different ways. And this gives you some idea Now, if you are more on the beginning end, you may find some of this a little bit tough, but I'm going to give you the link for it in the email later on so that you can follow along later and listen again. Vale la pena. It is worth it. Back it all the way up.
Te ayuda a estudiar para tu examen de geografía.
And so I'll send this link so that you can read that again because she's going pretty fast there, right? And you know, yeah, you have to even read fast to get it. I'll help you study your geography test. Te ayudo a estudiar. And notice she's got a verb followed by an infinitive. You're going to be doing that with your common verbs practice. I asked you to practice for just different combinations of verbs. Te ayudo a estudiar. I'll help you to study. Para tu examen de geografía. A ver, let's see. A ver is one of those great pause phrases, is what people lead off with. It means let's see. And it's always said like that. A ver, a ver, a ver.
A ver. ¿Cuál es la capital de Portugal? No sé.
Okay, there's el básico, el más básico, the most basic.
¿La de Bélgica? No sé. ¿La de Canadá? No sé. No sé, it's the most common way to say I don't know in Spanish, but it's not the only one. Add variety to your Spanish with the 6 alternatives that you're going to learn in this lesson. Soy Paulísima de Spring Spanish. Empecemos. Número 1. Ni idea.
Ni. Ni is always a negative word. It only comes in that one form. Ni. Ni idea, no idea. Ni means not even or nor or, well, here, no idea. Ni idea. Ni idea. And by the way, some of these may come in handy when we have our trivia game later on. Sí, claro. Okay, vamos.
Ni idea. It's exactly like saying no idea. ¿Cuántos habitantes tiene China? Ni idea. ¿Cuál es la capital de Botsuana? No tengo idea.
No tengo idea. Oh, there's another one. No, I have no idea. But notice people do not say no idea. Nobody ever says no idea. Okay. No tengo idea. Magnífico. Or ni idea. También fantástico. You will never hear somebody say no idea like we do in English, no idea. It'll be ni idea or no tengo idea.
Fun fact, do you know that movie with Alicia Silverstone? It's really famous, Clueless. Well, in Mexico and Latin America, it's known as ni idea.
Yeah, sí.
Esta frase también tiene más variantes.
See, yeah. Okay, so clueless is ni idea, right? Because that's the way they would say it. They would not take the word clue and make it without a clue. There is a word for clue, but they would not use that to say clueless. It would be ni idea. That would be the most natural response.
¿Cuántos países hay en el continente africano? No tengo ni idea. Ay, por lo menos intenta.
At least try.
22. No, intenta de nuevo. Pero no tengo la menor idea.
Oh, there's another one. And this is like intensifying it. La menor idea. Oh, this is an opposite word from mayor, by the way. Oh, see how all these are weaving together. No tengo la menor idea.
¿En serio? En serio, no tengo ni la más mínima idea de...
Oh, not even the slightest. Mínima. Looks like minimal. Sí, es como minimal en inglés.
¿Cuántos países hay en el continente africano? 54, amigas, 54. ¿54? Órale, no tenía ni la más remota idea. So, ni idea. No tengo idea. No tengo ni idea. No tengo la menor idea. No tengo ni la más mínima idea.
And wow, they kind of go down, they go into the
Shortest to
most
the longest.
extreme. Yeah. No tengo idea, no tengo ni idea. I don't have even an idea, right? La menor idea. I don't have the slightest idea. Ni la más mínima, not even the teeny tiniest, littlest, slightest idea. Okay.
No tengo ni la más remota idea.
Remote idea.
Atención. The last options sound a bit redundant, but people do use these expressions in Mexico, especially, and you will hear them. That's the thing with chunks, phrases or word combinations that native Spanish speakers use all the time. They are just the way they are. You don't have to waste time translating them. You just use them like that.
Okay.
Get a copy of a
Okay.
document that contains
See?
Quiet now.
Okay.
lots of useful Spanish chunks in the link in the description. Número 2. No lo sé. I don't know it.
No.
No lo sé. Esta es casi igual a no sé, pero tiene el pronombre personal lo.
So this just inserts that little word lo in front of the sé, no lo sé. And this actually, I think, is even more common than no sé by itself. No lo sé. You hear all the time. I think it is more common. Pues es mi opinión. That's just my opinion. But okay.
I made a video explaining everything there is to know about these kinds of pronouns, and you can check it out here. No lo sé. It's like saying I don't know it. ¿Qué día va a ser la fiesta de Navidad de tu trabajo? No lo sé. ¿Cómo no vas a saber? ¿En serio? No lo sé. Aunque es casi lo mismo que no sé, a mí me suena un poco más formal. Why haven't you subscribed to the channel? No lo sé. But do it now and it'll all be good. Número 3. La verdad, no sé.
Yeah, la verdad, the truth. Yeah. So we would say to be honest, and it would just be la verdad, no sé.
La verdad, no sé. This is like saying, to be honest, I don't know. And you can use it just like that. It's like when you don't know, but somehow you think that you should know. Te veo muy mal para tu examen de geografía. ¿Por qué no has estado estudiando? La verdad, no sé. Lo intento, pero cada vez que empiezo a estudiar me da sueño. Pero te veo siempre tomando café, no te debería de dar sueño. ¿Tomas descafeinado? La verdad, no sé. Me lo prepara mi mamita. Número 4. ¿Quién sabe? ¿Quién sabe? Who knows? Mamá, ¿dónde está mi cuaderno de geografía? Tengo que estudiar. ¿Quién sabe? ¿Cómo que quién sabe? Yo lo dejé aquí anoche. ¿Dónde está? ¿Quién sabe? Búscalo. Por ahí debe de estar. ¿Quién sabe? También tiene otras variantes. En Jalisco, ya saben, en lugar del tequila y del mariachi, y en otras partes de México, es muy común que la gente diga simplemente sabe. ¿Han visto mi libreta de geografía? La dejé en la mesa anoche. ¿Una rosa? Sí. Se la llevó tu hermana a la escuela. ¿Qué? ¿Por qué hizo eso? Sabe. Número 5. Sepa la bola.
But you know, that little body language thing of sabe, yeah. Okay, so some people regionally may shorten it instead of quien sabe, just do sabe. And you know, yeah, that kind of thing happens and it's kind of flicking it off, right? This one is a little more colorful. The ball.
Sepa la bola. This is an old expression, but still widely used in Mexico. And I think that if you were to use it, your friends would be impressed. According to the Mexican Academy of Letters, es probable que la frase sepa la bola, empleada en México con el sentido de quién sabe o no sé, se haya creado por analogía con la expresión sepa Dios, cambiando el sustantivo Dios por la bola, frase que a mediados del siglo XIX se empleaba en México con el valor de muchedumbre.
So bola replaced Dios. Sepa Dios. Well, God knows. You know, in English, not as much now, but oh, God knows God knows what's happening with that problem. Okay. Why did bola come in? Bola was kind of a colloquial thing that meant like a bunch of people, besides having the word for, a ball that is a child's toy or a sports item. So bola had the idea of muchedumbre, crowd, so it just kind of seeped in.
Reunión desordenada o diversidad bulliciosa. Oye, me dijeron que te llevaste mi libreta de geografía. Claro que no. Una rosa que estaba en la mesa. No tengo la menor idea de qué me estás hablando. ¿En serio? Entonces, ¿dónde está mi libreta?
Sepa la bola.
Sepa la bola is quite informal, just like its variant sepa. Niña, tu hermana trae perdido un cuaderno importante, uno rosa. ¿Sabes dónde está? Sepa. Número 6. Desconozco.
Oh, this one's more formal.
Desconozco.
Probably you don't need this one, but I'll let you hear what it's about.
It means, I don't know. This one is quite formal.
Yeah,
I would use it like when I don't want to sound unprofessional because I'm like supposed to know something, but I really have no idea. Yeah. Buenas tardes, señora Cruz.
And now you're going to see that this is a much more formal situation. You've got a teacher calling a parent. So it's not just, you yelling at your kids kind of thing. Okay.
Bueno. Señora, soy Susan Rodríguez, la maestra de geografía de su hija. Buenas tardes, profesora, dígame. Señora, desconozco qué esté pasando con su hija, pero está teniendo muchos problemas últimamente con mi materia. Ay, maestra, qué pena. No, señora, no es motivo de pena. Simplemente estoy algo sorprendida. Normalmente es muy buena estudiante. Como le decía, desconozco las razones de su mal aprovechamiento últimamente. Por eso me tomé la libertad de llamarle. Now you know many other ways to say I don't know. But
Okay. Eso es. That's it. Ya está. We're done with that now. So you may need that when we come to our trivia game. Quizás, maybe. Quizás. Okay. Pero. Quiero que I want us to practice some of your sentences that you developed. Y ¿dónde está? Aquí está.
Marilyn,
Sí.
quick question. When she was talking about only your God knows, can you say solamente sepa a bola?
No. It will just be sepa la bola. Sepa Dios. Sepa Dios would actually work too. Sepa Dios. Pero sepa la bola. Yeah. Will you, right. Can you add like another word to intensify that? People tend not to with that particular phrase. Es buena pregunta. Good question. Okay. I'm going to try to make this a little bit bigger. My font is too tiny. Mejor, better. Okay. I had sent you some prompts, and we're going to take a look at the original prompts first, just to sort of see. What I wanted you to do was maybe look up some extra vocabulary to add. I think the example I had given you, and these are going to be verbs. This all came out of that long video on verbs that are commonly used. And a lot of these, not all, but a lot of them are used in a two-verb combination. So a helpful thing we can do is to take these set combos, and a way you can start to expand some vocabulary is to take that conjugated verb plus not conjugated verb, and that second verb that stays the infinitive. Just get to know some extra newer infinitives to add on as that verb to combination, like quiero cultivar vegetales. I want to grow, because you're cultivating them. I want to grow veggies, and we wouldn't use crecer, which also means to grow, but meaning you're cultivating them out of the ground, right? You're growing them out of the ground. Quiero cultivar. Cultivar would mean plant and grow them. Okay. Quiero cultivar vegetales. And you can teach yourself a lot of new words by adding some second new words into that second verb pattern. Quiero cultivar. Okay. And here are some of the combinations, and I've got it distilled down into things to send you out into your Zoom rooms with. If you didn't have time to prep it, you could just work off the fly. It will work. So here are some of the verbs that they talked about in the video, and the combinations of verbs that are helpful, that you should always have in your hip pocket, your back pocket, right? Querer. Querer plus an infinitive. Querer plus an infinitive, want to do something, okay? Poder, infinitivo. Poder, to talk about what you can do, what you have the ability to do. Or if you make it negative, it means you can't do something, right? See? Okay. But all you conjugate is the poder, and you can tag on different and new words. So let's say you might find this reemplazar a useful term, but you don't want to have to think about, oh, shoot, how do I conjugate it? If I just combine it and make it the second verb that doesn't get conjugated, you start to get used to that new vocabulary word. Puedo reemplazar las llantas. I can replace the tires. Okay. And you don't have to worry about conjugating reemplazar, just getting used to the idea of reemplazar means replace, switch out, put something new in, right? Bien. You could add a new verb like crear, to create, right? And don't have to think about how do I conjugate it if you combine it with poder. No puedo crear pasteles franceses. I can't create French pastries. Puedo comer pasteles franceses. No puedo crear pasteles franceses. Tener is one of those other things. This is one of those must verbs, must know verbs. Tener, literally to have something in your possession. And tener we use with all those different idioms. Tener calor, tener frío, tener hambre, tener sed. And tener que, this is one of those golden ones, to have to. And this is a very strong have to because it personalizes it. We're conjugating it for the person who has to. This is a stronger way of expressing have to, a very strong way of expressing obligation. So if I say something like, tenemos que llevar a nuestros amigos al aeropuerto. We have to take our friends to the airport. I am putting that responsibility squarely on us. I am making that responsibility, that obligation, very personal and very pointed, very exact by using tener que and that second infinitive. You'll see why I'm pointing this out in a little bit. Ser, of course, has so many uses. Talk about professions and origin and what things are made out of, and time and dates and all that kind of thing. Estar, of course, has all those other confusing uses of talking about a state, something that's changeable, emotions and feelings and health and conditions that shift or change very, very easily. Gustar, to talk about what you like. And again, you can combine this with newer verbs to talk about what you like to do if you want to start to inject new and different vocabulary, new and different verbs. Ir, for going to a place, ir a, and an infinitive, going to do something, just putting that action into the future. Necesitar, need, you can be talking about needing things or needing to do something. Decir is a must-know verb. You express what you are saying or telling, or what anybody is saying or telling somebody else. And here's another great verb which has a lot of uses. And I asked you to maybe think of an example with this. Haber has many uses, but for your purposes now, it's used in what they call compound, meaning two verbs that have to be used together, tenses. So, but if we don't think about the perfect tenses, and we have perfect tenses in English too. I have spoken. They had finished that project 2 weeks ago, that kind of thing. Those are perfect tenses. Besides those, I comes from haber, and I is just used to talk about what is around. But this hay que thing is very interesting and very, very useful. Like tener que, have to, hay que is another way of saying almost the same thing, but with this exception, whereas tener que squarely puts responsibility on somebody. Tienes que estudiar, you have to study. Tengo que trabajar, I have to work. Tenemos que practicar, we have to practice. And that verb conjugation, it says, hey, somebody has that responsibility. Hay que is impersonal. It just means one must. And therefore, it is a take the foot off the gas pedal, a softened way of expressing obligation. It does not, hay que doesn't get conjugated for tú or yo or nosotros. So it is a less pushy, let's say, way of expressing what has to get done. Okay, so hay que, and then an infinitive. So for just existence, hay dinero en mi bolsillo, there's money in my pocket. But to talk about obligation, we can combine it with a second verb, but it has to be that hay que. Just like you have tener que, this is hay que. Hay que llamar a tu esposo. You have to call your hubby. Hay que limpiar esta casa, por favor. Hay que limpiar esta casa, por favor. This room has to be cleaned, please. Okay, so hay que makes it less personal. It is seen as less in your face, if you will. And we just need to add a second infinitive. We don't have to conjugate it. So what I would like you to be able to do is to use, I think I have listed these as specific verbs I would like you to create or combine to with another verb to create some sentences. See, so I'm going to send you out into the Zoom rooms to kind of talk about or practice a little bit your examples that you worked up for the week. And then we'll come back and share any questions that you have. ¿Hay alguna pregunta antes de empezar? Is there any kind of question before we go off into the Zoom rooms for this or no? Okay, I think I'm going to create about 5 Zoom rooms for you to get out and do a little speaking practice. Oh boy, I'm mean. I force people to, I force you to talk. Either good for me or shame on me. I don't know which.
Good for you. I
Me
guess.
either. Okay. So we'll send you out for this. Then we'll bring you back, see what kind of questions you had or what worked well, what didn't, what fun examples you had, what new words you used, all that sort of thing. I think I'll just give you 5 minutes for the 5 minutos. That's probably enough. And I will send these words into the Zoom rooms with you as well. Tengo que buscar
okay.
el botón. Tengo que buscar el botón. I got to look for my button to send that into. It is a share screen button. Aquí, bien. Vale. Bien. Aquí. There we go. Just our little prompt. Y ahorita, right now, I need to set my timer. Aquí 5 minutos, nada más. Y después, after this, we're going to do our little mayor versus más grande drill, which is going to be another good opportunity for small room work. And to finish up our trivia segment. Okay, nos quedan 2 minutos. We've got 2 minutes left. Nos quedan 2 minutos para practicar querer, en poder, en tener, and hay que, that funny singular impersonal form of haber, hay que. Hay que obedecer las reglas. One has to obey the rules. Hay que escuchar estas noticias. You have to listen to this news. Hay que leer las instrucciones. You gotta read the directions. Hay que is a nice obligation phrase that takes the responsibility off of any one person, which Spanish tends to want to do quite often. There are a lot of situations where some things we would say in English sound super direct and super forceful as commands. And in Spanish, very often the impulse, the instinct is to soften commands frequently. When somebody really cuts loose, like with a family member, or cuts loose with your colleagues and goes into direct command, that is kind of making it much more impactful than using softened commands, which is more prevalent in the culture of Spanish speakers. Direct commands are seen as very abrupt, or, you know, it's taken as somewhat abrupt in a lot of cases. Okay. Vamos a cerrar. We're going to close our rooms. We're going to give everybody about a minute to finish up. Y van a regresar. Vale. Ok. A ver. Bien. Bueno, vamos a contribuir. We're going to contribute. Vamos a compartir. We're going to share. Vamos a compartir ejemplos. My favorite instruction out of all of these, and this is one I use with my husband quite a lot. Whenever we get a new device in the house, my husband is one of those people who really loves to tinker. He is very mechanically minded, and he's one of those people that does not ever read the directions first, ever, because I can see, saben, you guys know. Sí, ustedes ya saben, you guys already know this type. Yeah, sí. And often I will say, and if I could say this in Spanish, it would sound less pushy. You know, in English, you would have to couch it in terms like, well, you know, dear, it would be a good idea to read the instructions. But you can do that in Spanish with fewer words. You can just say, hay que leer las instrucciones. Hay que leer las instrucciones. You know, you got to read the directions, but then I don't direct it at tú, because it's just, hay que leer las instrucciones, ¿sabes? You know, you got to read the instructions, and that would make it less pushy sounding. Commands in Spanish-speaking countries tend to favor making commands less pushy. Okay. ¿Cuáles son sus ejemplos. What are your examples using any of these verbs? Querer, poder, tener, hay que.
What if I said this? Oh, sorry, somebody
No.
else wants to.
No. Bien, tú.
Okay. Hay un pelo en mi comida.
Oh.
Is that is that correct?
Sí, tienes razón. You are right. Tienes toda la razón. Sí, hay un guy, Dios mío, hay un pelo. Usually that'll be prefaced with ay, Dios mío, or
ay, Dios mío.
or qué asco, how gross. Qué asco, hay un pelo en la comida. Eso es. Buen ejemplo. Good example. Ok, hay otros.
Quiero hablar el español todos los días.
Magnífico, sí. Quiero hablar, quiero practicar. Fantástico. ¿Qué más?
Tengo que me desperta a las 5 en la mañana.
Okay.
De la mañana.
And the only thing we'll change with that, Pat, will be we'll shift where the me goes. Tengo que despertarme.
Okay.
Or you got a choice. Ooh, this isn't one of those 100%. It's a you got a choicing. I know it, I understand why you said me despertar, because you're thinking put it in front of the reflexive, the pronoun in front of the reflexive. But when I'm using two verbs together, that me is either the caboose on the end of the train, or it's the engine leading off. It's me quiero despertar is great. Me quiero despertar or quiero despertarme. Either one is equally good.
Okay.
Okay. So it's
Thank
either
you.
the engine on the train or the caboose on the end. That's what the me's got to do. Bien. Buen ejemplo. ¿Qué más?
I have another example here. I don't know. I just wanted to make sure this is correct. Quiero aprender a bailar flamenco or a bailar de flamenco.
A bailar flamenco. Sí.
No de. Okay.
No de. Que sí, quiero aprender a bailar flamenco. Sí, eso. Bien, me gusta. ¿Qué más? Anything else?
Sure. Tenemos que preparar nuestra casa para instalar ventanas nuevas.
Tienes un gran proyecto. Tienes un gran, hoy es un proyecto muy grande.
Sí.
Ok. ¿Cuánto tiempo tardan en instalar? ¿Cuánto tiempo es?
Más o menos una semana.
Una semana, ok. Es mucho tiempo.
Oh, yeah.
Bien, ok. Qué fantástico, pero ayuda.
Y es posible, es muy frío.
Eso sí. Uy, sí. Pero van a trabajar de manera muy gradual, ¿no? Una ventana, entonces la segunda, entonces la tercera, sí. A la vez, all at the same time, a la vez, no.
No sé.
Ni idea. Vamos a ver.
Ni idea.
Ni idea. No tengo la menor idea. Bien, ok. Vale, me gusta muchísimo. Hay otro ejemplo.
Hay que corregir los errores en mi tarea.
Hay que corregir. Gotta correct. Sí, los errores en mi tarea. Bien. ¿Qué más? Corregir, correct. ¿Hay más o no?
Hay que limpiar la casa de vez en cuando.
Sí, hay que limpiar la casa de vez en cuando, from time to time. There's a good frequency term, de vez en cuando, from time to time en inglés, en español, de vez en cuando, from time in when. Pero no es, en inglés no decimos from time and when, de vez en cuando, en when. Así es. Ok, hay otros ejemplos. ¿No? Bien.
I get one, like, I'm not sure which one. Also, this, I'm still kind of not sure what I'm doing here. I make a sentence, puedo cocinar muchas comidas diferentes, or which one is correct? That's the one that I make, and then I look for something to make sure that I'm doing the right thing, and it says puedo cocinar muchos tipos diferentes de comida. So which one is correct? Is mine correct? The shortest one?
Los dos. There's not just one way to say that. Another way you could say that, instead of using the word diferente, here's a good vocabulary bit to know. Comidas diferentes. Bien. Varias comidas. Varias comidas would mean several. But, you're kind of implying if there are several, they're not all the same, right?
Okay.
So, varias comidas, see, varios platos, that would work too. Muchos tipos de comida, many types of foods. Another way, muchas clases de comida. I know clases is used for types sometimes, but tipos is a very great and easy word to use. Kinds of, tipos de. Some people use clases de to say kinds of. So there's no one way. Sometimes there are different workarounds that you can plug in, and they're all equally good. That's one example of that. Bien, okay. Hay otras preguntas. De nada. Hay otras preguntas. Any other questions about things you have that you weren't quite sure of, or? Okay. Bien. That longest video and those little prompts about knowing those core verbs. A lot of those are really what we would consider core verbs that you can combine with other components. You can combine with other verbs to start to use new verbs. Okay, so in Jeff's example, hay que instalar, you could say hay que instalar. They have to install, and instalar, maybe you don't want to have to conjugate it. It's hard because it's a regular verb, but you can start to wiggle in some new verbs with the verbs you already know. So when we talk about can do something or have to do something or going to do something, we can pull in a new verb to start to get comfortable with that, to expand your vocabulary a little bit. Bien?
Can I say hay que ver a mi doctor a las 2?
Hay que ver al doctor a las 2, sí.
Okay.
That one you might want to make more personal because it's something that a little bit better. Hay que ver al doctor por lo menos.
It's not a mi doctor.
Yeah, you could. Hay que hablar con mi doctor. But quite often, if you're really implying that I have to do this, then better just flip into tengo que. Hay que is better said, for example, You have to see your doctor once a year.
Mhm.
Something that everybody should do. Not maybe personally what I am doing, but what everybody should do. Hay que ver al doctor una vez al año, one time, una vez al año per year. Okay. Pero si es algo personal, if it's really something personal with my doctor, tengo que ver a mi doctor. Okay. Bien. Okay. A ver. And I will probably focus on a few more of these verbs next week and thinking and to have you prep some newer ideas, but not with the 1, 2, 3, 10, but with some of the other ones para la semana que viene for next week. Okay. And we'll come back and practice some of those in smaller groups. I want to
Marilyn, can I
Oh,
ask
sí.
a question a moment?
Sí, claro.
Are you saying I can ver, ver? That's
Ver.
I need to
Sí.
go. I need to go.
I
Oh no, I need to see.
no.
I mean, no.
I need to see.
See.
Yeah.
Okay.
Need to see.
Yeah, okay.
Hay que ir al doctor. Hay que ir al doctor. You have to go to your doctor.
Yes.
Hay que ver al doctor. You have to see the doctor. They carry kind of the same idea, right? The
Yeah,
same
right.
concept, but they're using two different verbs to do that. Sí.
Oh, okay.
Es así. That's okay.
Thank you.
De nada. Okay. I want to switch off to a little something which I thought was a super helpful little video, and we're going to practice this in some smaller groups as well. I hope you got a chance to watch this video about mayor y más grande, and because mayor y más grande, wow, they both talk about. They both might talk about similar things. But we have to kind of be careful about how we use it. So I've got some little practice and some little further explanation here. Aquí. Se usa. Do you use? Does one use? It is impersonal. This is an impersonal phrase. Se usa mayor o más grande. Do you use? Do you use mayor or más grande, bigger? El contexto de tu idea te ayuda a decidir. The context of, es muy grande, perdón. The context of your idea helps you to decide. And, okay. These carry some similar meanings sometimes. Mayor we use often to say somebody is older, but often in English we say like my big brother. And when you say my big brother, you probably don't mean that your brother is like incredibly tall or a really huge guy. My big brother really means he's older, right? Or my little brother doesn't mean he is like tiny in size. It means he's younger. So there's some, in English, there's some different things we do, some different combinations. So I've kind of distilled about what he went through in this video into a slightly different format. And I'll send you this whole set of slides later with the email. Okay, so you don't need to furiously copy. And he had kind of a Venn diagram, but that really helps. When we use the phrase más grande, and when we use the word mayor, it kind of depends on who or what we're talking about and what the context of, what's the idea we're trying to get across. So más grande, which just by itself means more big, which means bigger, right? If we're talking about people, más grande really conveys the idea of their size. Okay. Más grande. Entonces, por ejemplo, mi hermano es más grande. My brother is bigger. Really means physically in size. Okay. El niño es más grande. He is bigger. The kid is bigger. Doesn't talk about his age. It talks about how tall or how wide he or she may be. Okay. So when we talk about people, más grande refers to that size of that person. But when we talk about people, mayor talks about their age. Okay. So el niño es mayor que los otros. The kid is mayor than the others, means he is older. Okay. It means he is older. Mayor is what we use to say bigger, older in terms of age for people. Más grande, referring to people, talks about their size, height, or bulk, let us say. Okay. And in the video, what he was, another thing he said was that when we talk about things, it's kind of a different ball game. When you're talking about things and you're using the term más grande, again, it'll talk about size for objects, but you might hear that word mayor used as for things. You might hear mayor come in as an interchangeable word sometimes, but not always. The thing that you should probably know is that if you're talking about items, things, you're deciding between buying two items and one is bigger than the other. It's safer to go with más grande. Okay. Bigger. You may hear mayor to mean bigger or mayor parte. But it tends to be more as an abstract concept. Okay. So what if you want to say a thing is older? Because sometimes we do say this item is older than another item, not people, but items, things, objects. Okay. Here's a good alternative to talk about things, objects, items, not human beings, being older. Es más antiguo. Can you use más viejo? Well, you can. You get the idea across. Viejo is the word that most people know as old. Yeah, so más viejo must mean more old, older. But más antiguo is probably a little bit better. Antiguo sounds kind of like antique, and it kind of does carry that meaning, older, meaning it's been around longer, right? So we're going to have some picture prompts to talk about that. And so remember, más grande for people, size, mayor for people, age. Okay. Bien.
What if you say much older?
Es mucho más, no, es mucho mayor, es mucho mayor.
Okay, mucho
Yeah.
mayor.
We can't really combine más with mayor. Es mucho mayor, es mucho mayor, much older. Okay, por ejemplo, el esposo de mi colega es mucho mayor que ella. My colleague's husband is much older than she is. Por ejemplo. Ok. Bien. Pero vamos a practicar. Con los hermanos Hemsworth. Vamos a practicar con los hermanos Hemsworth. If you do not know them, they are sí. Son de una familia de actores. They are from an acting family. Son de una familia de actores. Bien. Vale. Fíjense. Notice that we might talk about these guys in different ways. Tenemos aquí un hermano es Liam, otro hermano es Chris, otro hermano es Luke. Voy a adivinar. I'm going to have to guess here because I don't really know the answer to this. I'm going to give you a, por ejemplo, estas son cosas aproximadas. These are approximate things. Chris tiene como 39 años, más o menos, 38 quizás. Vamos a ver, 37 años. ¿Bien? Sí. Chris tiene 35 años, por ejemplo. Bien. A ver, entonces, pero si hablamos de Liam tiene
33.
33, gracias, 33 años. Bien. Liam tiene 33 años. Luke, ni idea.
Luke is the oldest. Luke is the eldest.
Luke
is the eldest, yeah.
14 y 2.
Eldest or youngest?
Yeah.
14 y 2.
14.
De
Y
veras.
2 o 3, yeah.
Ok. Tiene 14.
14 y 2.
O 40, 40, 40.
42.
42 años, wow. Ok, a ver. No se ve tan, de esa edad. It doesn't look that old. Ok, vale. Si hablamos de estos hermanos, ¿sí? ¿Cómo diríamos? How would we say? ¿Cómo se expresa? How is it expressed? Luke is the older.
Luke is mucho.
Luke
es mucho mayor que los dos.
Sí. Podemos decir, Luke es el mayor. Es el mayor. El mayor
que los dos.
There are a couple of ways we can say it. We can talk about just an absolute, like the oldest. See, the oldest, el mayor.
Okay.
El mayor. But if we compare him to the other two, specifically, es mayor que
hermanos.
Los otros.
Los otros hermanos.
Es mayor que los otros. He's older than, right? That idea of than
Mayor
would be
que.
this little word que. Es mayor que los otros. He's older than the other ones. Es mayor que los otros. He's older than the other ones. Pero es el mayor, the oldest. The oldest. El mayor, just putting that little word el in there. El mayor, just, es el mayor de los tres. He's the oldest of the three. Es mayor que los otros. He's older than the others. Okay, pero, si quiero decir, this guy in the middle, see, el aquí, Chris. This is the most bulked up one of the three, right?
Chris,
He's got that Thor role in movies. And when you play Thor, you got to like build up those muscles. Okay. How would I say he is
Guapo.
bigger?
Más guapa.
Es más guapo. Okay.
Para
¿Cómo se
mí,
dice?
para mí.
Ay, sí,
Más
sí.
grande.
Pues sí, porque es una cosa, es una
Hemsworth
cosa.
is grande.
Es,
Small.
más,
Es
Más
grande.
grande.
más grande.
Okay. Chris es más grande. Es más grande.
Oh.
And that does not mean he is older. It means bulked up or height. He is
Oh.
bigger.
It's a little confusing between, it looks like Luke is more bulked up, but he's shorter.
Pues, okay, sí,
Not that
pero,
confusing, but
yeah, but just bigger size, yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah,
really,
okay.
if you look at Chris, you look at Luke,
Yeah.
right? You know, Chris is a bigger guy, and this doesn't even really
Oh,
show.
okay, I see.
Look at the
Oh.
neck. Look at the neck, everybody.
Oh, okay,
El
yeah.
cuello, el
Yeah, all
cuello.
right.
Yeah, there's a thing that tells you there he's doing all these muscles, okay?
Okay.
Chris es más grande. He's a bigger guy, okay?
Okay.
He's bigger in size,
Uh-huh.
okay? I could even say Liam es más grande que Luke. Liam es más grande que Luke. He's bigger than Luke, really tells me he's, that could convey that idea of es más alto, he's taller. It could convey that idea with that word grande. Bien? ¿Sí? Okay. Okay, vale. Hablando de...
And Marilyn, less would be menos grande.
Menos, sí, es menos grande. Sí. Sí, menos grande, not as big. Menos grande, right. When you have that word menor, or you heard, la menor idea, the least idea, things that kind of go in the opposite direction of mayor. This is a vocab thing, really, would be menor or menos. Those two vocabulary word, menor, really talking more exclusively of age, right? Mm-hmm. Younger, that's the opposite of mayor. It's the opposite of mayor, menor. So, la menor idea, least idea, right? Menos literally is like our word minus, right? But it's what they use to say in Spanish, less. Okay. Es menos grande. So these kind of vocabulary words are good words to keep in mind when we compare people or things. We'll use menos a lot, and we'll use, menor would be the opposite of mayor. So when you heard in that video, no tengo ni la menor idea, I don't even have the most minor idea. Menor also means minor. Yeah. Okay. Si hablamos de estos niños, if we talk about these kids, if I talk about their size, right? Aquí, el niño a la derecha, right?
Es más grande.
Es más grande.
Es más grande tan.
Es más grande, sí. El niño a la derecha. The kid on the right. Es más grande. El niño a la derecha. ¿Ok? Bien. El niño, el bebé a la izquierda. Uy. Es
menos grande.
Menos grande. Es menos grande. See? Okay. So when you hear people using those reference words, they're talking about the relative size of those kids. But now if I want to talk their age, and here the size correlates to the age, but that didn't with the older brothers, notice, right? The biggest guy is not the oldest guy. Okay.
So it's, el menor is if it's the youngest is el bebé a la
Sí.
izquierda es el menor.
El bebé es el menor. He is the youngest. Okay. Y el niño a la derecha es el mayor. He is the oldest.
Yeah.
Okay. I could look at the kid in the middle and say, let's give him a name. Let's call him Carlitos. Carlitos. Sí. Voy a ponerle un nombre. I'm going to give him a name. Aquí Carlitos. Carlitos es mayor que el bebé. Carlitos
Sí.
es mayor que el bebé, pero Manuel,
No.
Manuel es el mayor. Es el mayor. He is the oldest. ¿Sí? Carlitos es mayor que el bebé. Carlitos is older than the baby, pero sí, aquí Manuel, este niño es el mayor. Bien, okay.
He's the middle child.
Middle child,
Yeah.
eso es, sí, eso es. Okay. Vale, magnífico. If we talk about things, now the term más grande is going to refer to size, not the age of a thing. Bien, okay. Más
Sí.
grande. So, si hablo aquí del camión, el camión es truck. Ok, bien. Si hablamos aquí de la camioneta. Camioneta would frequently be used in a lot of places to say SUV. Okay, camioneta, eta tells you it's not as big as camión. Y aquí, a ver, simplemente el carro, el auto, el carro.
Amarillo.
Automóvil, el auto.
El carro amarillo.
El carro amarillo es mejor, sí, me gusta mucho. Ok, a ver. Bueno, ok. ¿Cómo podemos comparar? How can we talk about size, to talk about objects?
El camión es el más grande. Es más grande.
Es más grande. El camión es más grande que el carro.
El carro amarillo.
El carro es más grande que la camioneta. Bien, sí.
No.
A ver, so if I talk about size, I need a más grande. El camión es más grande
que
el carro.
And really whichever. Sí, es más grande que la camioneta. El camión es más grande que el carro amarillo. Bien, es más grande. Ok, a ver. Bueno, a ver. If I talk about these, depende. What I use depends on what idea I want to convey. Okay. Here you might be talking about the size of something, or you might be talking about the age of something. So I am going to send you off into some little to talk about these two only for about 3 minutes. Nada más, nothing more. And you might talk about them in size, but you may choose to talk about them as an age. So, a ver. Let me get my breakout rooms up. You're only going to, this is a very short drill, so it'll only be about 3 minutes. And then we'll come back and see what you come up with. And I'll send the pictures out to you in your breakout rooms. Bien, fantástico. A ver. Tres minutos, nada más. Ok. Y vamos a ver, we're going to see. This is a prequel, a practice for what folks are going to do for some homework to practice this a little bit more. We're going to give people a minute to finish up and then come on back. A ver. Uy. ¿Dónde está? Okay. Esperamos a unos más. We're waiting for a few more, and then we get our trivia game. Okay. And this is kind of a precursor step into. I'm going to have you think about more of these for next week. We'll see what ideas, but I wanted you to do this little bit together so that you have an idea of what you're doing next week, so that you've got some, your feet wet. Okay. Bueno, ¿dónde están los otros? We're waiting on just a couple more. Okay. A ver. Pam, 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 pam. Aquí viene. Here we go. A ver. And now that I've got my share screen on, I cannot see you all. So let's see. What might you have said about these two vehicles? Perdón. Aquí. Bien. And if you raise your hand, I cannot see you. I'm sorry, because I've got my share on.
El carro negro es más antiguo que el rojo.
El carro negro bien, es más antiguo que el rojo. Wow, you know what? We can shorten that by just saying que el rojo, the red one. The idea of one is el rojo, because we already know we're talking about carro, right? They're both the same kind of thing. El carro negro es más antiguo que el rojo. Fantástico. ¿Qué más? What else could we say about these two?
Ni idea.
Ni idea. No tengo la menor idea. No tengo la idea más remota. No tengo la más remota idea. Ok, pero sí, y
Okay. En mi opinión, el carro a la derecha tiene más estilo de
el carro a la derecha tiene más estilo que el otro. Bien.
Estilo.
Estilo, style. Style. Ok, a ver, ok, vale. El carro negro, sí, es más antiguo que el otro.
El carro negro es más grande.
Es
el
más
rojo.
grande, sí, es difícil de saber. El carro
What do
negro.
you say if like heavier? ¿Es más grande as well?
Es más pesado, es
Más pesado.
or probably el carro negro pesa más, weighs more, right? I could say, está más pesado, but probably pesa más, weighs more, pesa más.
Because usually
Pesa más que el otro.
Old car has a lot of heavy steel.
Tiene mucho metal, sí, tiene mucho, es de metal, tiene partes de metal por todas partes y así, bien, ok? But you get the idea, ¿sí? Entienden? I want to leave enough time for our trivia. So what I'm going to have you do is think about this, and I will send you these prompts so you can think about it ahead of time. Ooh, you're going to talk about people. You're going to talk about things. Ooh, you're going to talk about more things, and I'll probably add a few others to these. I want you to think about using this concept of más grande or mayor, and you'll have a variety of people and things to talk about in your prompts. So now that you've done this a little bit together, you know what you're prepping for next. Okay? And you'll have some prep. Okay, a ver. Llegó la hora, the time has come. Llegó la hora del juego de trivia, our trivia game, el juego de trivia. Y vamos a ver, we're going to take a quick look at these. Y, okay, ¿qué opinas? What do you think? ¿Cuál fue el primer refresco que se llevó, was taken off, al espacio? Se llevó al espacio. Pepsi, Fanta. Fanta es una marca muy popular en España. Coca-Cola o Snapple. ¿Cuál fue el primer refresco que se llevó al espacio?
Coca-Cola.
Fanta.
Coca-Cola.
Tenemos Fanta, tenemos Coca-Cola. ¿Qué más?
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola. Pepsi, nadie para
No.
Snapple, no. ¿Por qué no es Snapple? ¿Por qué no puede ser Snapple?
Nueva.
No inventó.
No habían inventado. Sí, no se inventó Snapple. Entonces, sí, es Coca-Cola, es Coca-Cola. Ok, ¿qué país Segunda pregunta de trivia. ¿Qué país produce más café en el mundo? ¿Colombia, Indonesia, Brasil o Vietnam? Y
O
Vietnam,
Brasil o Colombia. Brasil o Colombia.
Brasil o Colombia. Either
Brasil.
Brazil, o Brasil o
Brasil.
Colombia.
Brasil, porque es el
No, no
más
sé.
grande de los países.
Eso es, porque es el más grande, es el, y aquí podemos decir, here we could say, es el mayor país de Sudamérica, we could, pero es el país más grande, es el país más grande de Sudamérica, y así es Brasil. Y bueno, Vietnam sí es famoso por su café. Hay
This is number 3.
muchos, sí, pero, pero Brasil es mucho más grande que Vietnam. Entonces, Brasil produce más café. Sí, porque es un país
Colombia
más.
is number 2, right?
Colombia, sí, es el segundo país, sí, eso es.
Segundo, and Vietnam is next, and then Indonesia is number 4.
Sí, ok, vale, bueno. Ok, ay, ¿cuánto pesa? How much does it weigh? Pesa es un verbo, pesa is a verb. Does it weigh? ¿Cuánto pesa el disfraz de Chewbacca? Ay, ok. Y vamos a ver aquí en libras. We're going to look at the pounds part, ¿sí? 7, casi 8, almost 8, casi 8 libras, casi 17 libras, ¿sí? Casi 6 libras o casi 15 libras.
¿Con la sash o no?
Ni idea. Me imagino con.
¿Con?
Sí, con. Sí,
Voy a adivinar B porque
15.
es el más pesado.
¿Crees que,
15.
que son 15?
Sí.
Ok.
7, 9 y 3.
7, otro sí, 7 y con 93.
Sí.
B.
Ok, ¿saben?
Okay, what is it again? Así, what do you call that again?
Casi almost.
Casi.
Sí, casi,
Casi
8. Sí, casi 8. Sí,
Casi 15.
15.
sí.
Wow,
Uy,
15.
podría adivinar esto, pero la respuesta es esto. ¡Ay! No pesa tanto. No pesa mucho.
Wow.
Qué sorpresa, ¿no? Qué sorpresa. Ok, aquí esto
Oh, really?
es-
I thought I saw that. You're not supposed to, but I pick up number 1, like A. The answer is I pick number A, but then when I look, it was like 8 pounds. That's what it says when I Google it, like, you know, how much
6,
it weighs.
8, no sé.
Yeah.
Sí, ok. Bueno, ¿cuál es el planeta más pequeño? Here we've got a size thing, and instead of doing más grande, we've got the más pequeño coming in. El planeta más pequeño del sistema solar. La Tierra, Venus, Marte, Mercurio.
Oreo.
Esto es más fácil. This is easier. Es más fácil. Mercurio. Sí, es Mercurio. Alguien en otro video, alguien dijo, porque no es Plutón, isn't it Pluto? No es Plutón, pero no contamos, ahora no contamos con Plutón. Yeah, we don't do that anymore. Mercurio. Okay. Y aquí, y también esto es más fácil. ¿Cuál fue el primer largometraje animado? Largometraje es full feature film. Largometraje animado, animated full feature film, full length. Largometraje animado que se lanzó, that came out. Pocahontas, La Sirenita, Little Mermaid.
Blanca.
Oh, perdón.
Blancanieves. Blancanieves y los
Blancanieves.
7
Sí.
enanitos.
¿Qué son enanitos? ¿Qué son enanitos?
Is it dwarf? 7 dwarfs.
Dwarfs, sí, ok. Sí, es Blancanieves y los enanitos que, bueno, se lanzó en el año como 1930 y no sé, 37, 38, 39, algo así, sí, en los años 30, in the 30s, en los años 30. Bien, ok.
What does the Cinderella mean? It looks like that's 100, 100.
Oh, it does look like that. Cenicienta refers to cenizas. Cenizas means ashes. And even in English, Cinderella, cinder means cinder, comes from cinders. Her job was to sweep out what did these people do in these? They swept out all the old ashes from the hearth every day. That was one of the first jobs of the day, was to heat up the house. Cinderella comes from the idea of cinders. Her job was to sweep out all the ashes from the fireplace that kept you warm at night. Yeah. Cenicienta comes from cenizas. That means ashes. Ashes.
Thanks for asking, Nora.
Now
we know. We learn new things.
Okay.
We might not ever need to know that, but now we do.
Yeah. Just like Blancanieves is Snow White. Yeah. And Blanca in the Spanish speaking culture, Blanca would be a common name actually to use. You've heard of the English name, maybe Bianca, related from the same idea as Blanca. And so, yeah, all this stuff winds up having a meaning. Okay. Bien. I'm going to add on some new trivia for next week. I will have you go in and look at those mayor and más grande examples. We'll compare some different things. You'll have a chance to prep that. And then I'm going to want you to prep some new sentences from those 10 most common verbs, the ones we didn't do. And I think I'm going to throw in a story video as well, but I haven't decided which one that's going to be yet. So I'm looking for a good one for us. Actually, I have one in mind, but I haven't been able to find the exact website. So I will make sure I look that up today. ¿Está bien?
Está bien.
¿Está bien? Okay, fantástico. Entonces, some of you I will see in the more advanced class on Wednesday, and the rest of you have a good week. Que tengan buena semana, muy buena semana. ¿Bien?
Gracias.
Excelente.